Hi everyone, I'm Barbara from Fairies in My Pond, and this is going to be the second part to my ball jointed doll. So let's get started. Now, my first tutorial, I showed you how to make the wax core, and I put my first layer of polymer clay. Now, I have already put a second layer, and now I'm going to show you how we're going to see the shapes. Now, we want an egg, but now this is the part that I try to tell a lot of my students, and it's a very common mistake, is that when we do an egg, we always seem to miss the jaw. Okay, now all I did was I put that second layer of clay over my first layer, and I'm concentrating on keeping a nice ball. Now let's go back to the drawing. Here is my ball. Okay, now if I put this up there, it doesn't have to be exactly, okay, but we want it to be somewhat. Okay, I have my ball. Now this is the part right here that I'm going to show you how to understand it. And when you actually do an egg shape, you'll know how to get this part right in here that we seem to always miss. Okay, now I've just taken some clay and I've kind of like just made a little flat piece, kind of thick, and I've just taken my finger, I've just gone like this, and what I want to do, now let me just put this back up here and point this out to you. Remember, my stick is going to go right along that halfway mark. So that means that my jaw is going to go right about in the middle of that stick. And if you're a little bit over, it's okay, because this is just to get you to understand it. Okay, now I'm way over, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to slice it. You know, there's so many ways to sculpt, and my way isn't the right way, the wrong way. It's only the way that works for me and for other people. Okay, now I'm going to show you the part that I have here. Now see, I'm a little bit over, and if it's too much, just take it off. Okay, now let's put it back up there. Okay, here's the part that I'm creating. I'm creating this part right in here and out to the jaw, but I haven't created this piece in here. So let me line it up. Now, do you see how I still, right in here, I still have more to add? So really, when I was doing this, I could have had a little bit more clay, but when I fill this in, it's going to fill this in. Okay, so now I've got the starting of the jaw, and if I turn it over like this, I have a starting of an egg. Okay, because when you do your clay and you make an egg shape, you can make this happen. It's just that you got to understand how to make that egg shape and get the jaw. All right, now I've just taken another piece of clay, and what I want to do, let me line it back up. I'm going to put it right in here. Let me bring it up. And let me go, come over. Okay, you guys. Turn it this way. All right, because I really want you to see this. See what I'm trying to go for? Okay. Now then, on my drawing, when you have the ball, okay, the nose is going to be somewhere in here. My brow is going to be somewhere in here. My mouth is going to be somewhere in here. Okay, so let me put it back on there. And let me see. Okay, I need to build it right up in here. So I'm going to take this, just a piece of clay here. I'm going to place it right there, because what we're doing is that our faces aren't flat, okay? So I'm raising the center of that egg. Okay, now let's see. All right, there. Now, this part right here, okay? Now all I did was just take a little ball of clay, and I actually, let me put it back on here. Okay, now here is where the curvature of the neck is going to start, and the roundness is right in here. Okay, so when I lay it on there, I'm going to take my piece of clay and I'm just going to roughly put that on there. Okay, so let's see. All right, there we go. Okay, you see how I'm smoothing that out, but I'm keeping this right here, right along my template. Okay, and this is going to allow me to have the fullness. Let me bring this down because I keep getting out of the camera a little bit. Okay. This is going to make it so that I have enough of the fullness in the front of my face. Because it seems like when in the classes, the students seemed like if when I would say, okay, everybody, let's, just form an egg. If I don't go any further into detail of really trying to explain to them of what it is that you have to add or what it is that to look for, when they put the eyes in and the nose in and the mouth, it has like an alien look, and it's because they don't have the enough fullness in the front of the face. So it's really understanding the egg. Now remember, this is going to be my jawline. Okay, so let's see how we're doing. Okay, that's good. And then the neck, the back of that neck, that roundness is going to be like below the ear. Okay, because basically what I'm doing is I'm just roughing it in. Okay, now let's focus on the egg now. So the egg is going to be more narrow and it gradually becomes wider. Now remember, as you're smoothing, that from the center you're kind of like going like this. I'm not trying to make it flat. Okay, now let's take it from the side. Here's my egg. Now this is where it's going to look a little bit different from an egg, but if I didn't have this stick here, it would be an egg, okay? But we want the stick because we're going to have a neck. So let's just concentrate on that egg. Side view. Same thing on this side. And really, you know, I know people say it's like an egg, but you know, for me, it's more like a teardrop. You know, I guess it's just however we see it. But for me, it's a little bit more of a teardrop. I guess the front of it would be more of an egg. The side would be more of a teardrop. Okay. Back of the head. Let's go ahead and start making that egg. And let me get this. Okay, now let's see the egg. Now I'm just taking my finger and I'm making that indentation for that neck, because right here, right along here, is going to be that ball. It's like a ball. But you don't want it too high. Okay, now let's see how we're doing. Okay, it's looking good. Now, this part right in here, let me bring it back up. Okay, you see how I've got it all filled out? I have my jawline and everything, and my chin. Okay? Now sometimes when you work on it, at least for me, I find that this area right in here, the front of that, or behind that chin, underneath the chin, Okay, sometimes when I'm working on it, it gets pushed back. And you want to pay attention to that because you want to keep that chin out. Because if you push it in, you're losing that jawline. Okay, now let's just go ahead and do this part. Because I would do a lot more pressing, not really so much smoothing as it is just forming the shape and making sure that I don't have any air bubbles. Okay? And if I have any dirt, get the dirt out. Now this area right here, see where I have the crease to the clay? Try to smooth that out. Get that crease out now. Okay, and then bring that chin back. Okay, and usually if you take the one finger and then the thumb, and then what you're doing is you're working it together. So in other words, I'm bringing it down, but my thumb's keeping that chin out. I hope that helps. Okay. Okay, now let's go back and let's check it again. Okay, now the only thing that I can see here is right here. This is going to come up and this is going to come down just a little bit. But we'll work on that after we get the nose and everything in. And then this part right here, we'll work on that after. Okay, so my halfway mark is going to be in the center of that stick. Okay, so if I put this back up there, okay, my nose, I'm kind of looking at this in an angle, so let's see, my nose here and brow here. Okay, I don't like this. Let's see. Let me bring it back down because when it's up, I seem to get out of the camera. Okay. Okay, let's say eyes. I'll bring that down. Okay, halfway mark. Eye, 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 and eye. I want to make sure that I press on the inside of that hole, because if I go this way, then my eye is going to be closer to that bridge. So make sure that you're inside of that hole. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to make the mark for the socket. Let's do the same thing on this. Okay, now when you expect your clay to shift and whatever. So just pay attention to all that. Okay, now the nose is going to come down further. Okay, so now the bridge, Now the bridge, really, it can be right even with those two little holes, or you can go a little bit below it. Now sometimes I'll have to add clay to that nose, but I really try not to, because I find that for me, when I add that little ball of clay, I'll have the crease of the clay, and it's, for me, it's a little difficult to really get that smooth, but sometimes I have to. Okay, now all I'm doing is I'm taking my tool very lightly and I'm just bringing it out and towards the nose, this part out to the side, because if you've watched my other tutorial on the face, it's actually a heart. So I can see a heart in that. And then the eyes, I'm going to just bring this out just a little bit. Bring this. The nose. Keeping everything rounded. And I can see I've got a little pushed in a little bit too far right in there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this out. For some reason that's in my way today. Okay, now you see how it's coming along? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to see if I can bring a little bit more clay down into the tip of that nose. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to kind of push it up. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to kind of put a little line here just for me to see where the eyes would be. Okay. Upper lip, I'm going to just bring this down a little bit out to the jaw. Okay, now I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to bring that clay up towards the center, just very, very lightly, because I don't want this to be dug in. Very lightly. And sometimes I'll even have to add to that upper lip, but we're going to see. Okay, I'm going to make a bigger slice for that mouth. And I am going to now take it, and I'm seeing where this is flatter and this is rounder. Remember the egg, okay? I'm trying to correct this right now. So I'm going to bring it back up. Okay. Now I'm going to take my thumbs and I'm going to go right here by the brow, and I'm just going to press very lightly to make like a brow bone. Okay, but I'm keeping this area right here, the top of that forehead, kind of like flat a little bit, and then I'll take my thumb, bring that clay back down so that it's not like real flat. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's make a little bit of an upper lip. So let's just bring it up a little bit. And I'm going to take this tool here and I'm going to make the corner of her mouth. Okay, now this is a part that I showed in my other tutorial with the face, is that when I sketch it in, I want to go from one corner. Actually, this needs to come out. Okay. I take it at one corner, very lightly, and I go to the center of my line. And I start at this corner and I go to the center of that line. And for some of you that don't understand why I am saying that, it's because that if I go from this corner and I take my tool and I take it all the way across, you're actually shifting more clay to the other side. So you are evenly doing it much better by starting at this corner, going to the center, and this corner going to the center. Okay, now we're going to start to form that bottom lip, and very lightly, okay, and I'm going to bring that up. Okay, now we're going to make the chin. Now I'm going to take this upper lip, I'm going to bring that back down because I didn't quite like the way it was sitting. So I'm going to go ahead, bring all my clay back into that upper lip, very lightly. Pay attention to how you're holding the clay, because a lot of times as we're working on something, we're not realizing it, but this hand isn't relaxed, and then we're starting to press in. So it's kind of like multitasking here. Light touch here and light touch here. Okay, I'm just going to kind of take my thumbs and very lightly see how our profile is coming. Let me put the stick back in. Okay, now let me compare it. Okay, now, you see how my chin, this is what I was talking about. As you're working with it, we have a tendency, or I do, that, see how the chin is starting to go back? So now my jaw is getting shorter. So I want to pay attention to that. Now I'm just going to take my thumb and I'm just going to open that up just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just shut the camera down for a little bit because I want my clay to firm up. It's really getting a little bit too soft for me with the lights. And I'm really trying not to make this real long, and it's starting to get long. But I do want to complete something here. And I'm going to let it, my clay cool down. So I will be back. Okay, everyone, I've let the clay cool down, and I can work with it a little bit better. I haven't really done anything to it different. I did pull this down on her neck, but here's what I'm going to point out, because when I looked at the video, I am up to like 30 minutes, and I didn't even want to make a 30-minute video. So I'm going to just go through this part quickly, and we're going to be done with this part of it. Okay, I want to show you, okay, if you look at your head, I have the egg shape. If I turn it upside down, I have the egg shape. So you want to turn your sculpture around, because when I look at it this way, and I turn it upside down, I can see that this cheek is a little bit different. My mouth is a little bit different on this side. You'll see different things on different angles, okay? Now I want to show you this part. This is another egg. Now, if I had this into the chin, it would be another egg, okay? I would say really more of a teardrop, but I don't know. In my class, it seems like when I say an egg, everybody kind of gets a hold of it. Okay, and then of course, you have the egg on this side. Now, when you look on top of the head, you're going to see the egg. This will be more narrow, and the back will be wider. When you look underneath it, I'm going to just take my stick out so that we can see this. Okay, my neck is going to be coming out like this, and I'll have to clean that up. But do you see how I've got the shape to it? If I put it up to it, let me pull this camera up. Okay. If I take it, do you see how I've got the shape of that neck? Okay, now that's what I was talking about. The ball is going to be right back in here, and that's going to allow me to have the jaw. Okay, now if I turn it upside down, okay, I'll have another egg. Now that's, you know, I'm not saying that this is a perfect egg shape. I'm only giving this to you just to get an understanding, and then you can pretty much figure it out the way that you'll see your piece of work. Okay, so everybody, I'm going to let this part go, and I still have some more work to do on the nose. I will have to put a little ball of clay on that nose, which I didn't want to. And of course, I am going to have to fix up those areas on the sides of the cheek. So everyone, I hope that this part of sculpting a face has really helped you. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the description. Email me. It really doesn't matter how you do it. I will answer all your questions. Also, if I want to really stress this, if any of you have a problem to where you're not understanding it and would like me to make a particular tutorial on that particular problem, let me know while I'm going through these ball jointed, and I'll try to slip one in. So everybody, have a great day.